You are listening to
Radio
Nigel.
Yeah.
I jumped in to listen to it.
That's nice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Welcome to another episode, everyone, of Radio Nigel. Today we're talking to Quantum Baker from ATROMG8. Am I saying that right, ATROMG8?
Yeah, absolutely. ATROMG8 is
excellent.
Correct.
Awesome. Before we get into the project, I always like to have a little fun at the start. I like to get to know who I'm talking to. So, would you go ahead and just maybe, share where you're at in the world, where you're from, how long you've been in crypto, and what do you like to do for fun?
Oh, at the moment, what I like to do for fun is working. So the better the project goes, the more fun I have. No, I'm science, working technology science, 2009, 2008, but as in the field of project management, it was not crypto in that sense. Crypto came later, and as absolutely not willingly, it came step by step, grow into this and learned on a daily basis what blockchain is about. Blockchain was the door opener for me to enter this direction of work. And yeah, over the time, there was nothing better than anybody else when this whole thing started. 2013, we thought we want to have a part of the cake, and we were working on some solutions for wallets and for integration. At this time, back there, we had some experiments with some banks and friends in banks, which we were at this time very welcome. The mood and the environment changed very fast after 1-2 years when the bank defined blockchain as an enemy. And so we went on, right? So we went through all these phases, started with the wallet, then building up environment, then saw the need for a messenger, and went from one to the other and start combining that to create an ecosystem.
So you've been in crypto since, are you saying all the way back since 2013 you've been involved in crypto?
It's not in crypto. Crypto was not a big interest for me at all. I was not even a big believer of Bitcoin back then, to be honest.
Right.
That was not the driving force. The driving force was supply chain management. I was working in several fields as well in the energy business, and handling of documents, simplifying processes, which as well means reducing daily costs. That was the driving force. It was not crypto as a currency. I saw crypto as a token, which enables me to exchange information, but not as a speculative instrument. That's where the whole industry grew to a few years later.
Very exciting. So you've been around for some time. You're well versed inside this space. That's awesome. And there is so many different working parts of crypto. Of the blockchain. There's so many different working components of it that you can apply it to so many different. It's so universal today that you can use it in so many different ways. It's just incredible. So that's cool that you've been around a good time in here and you're well versed in it. That's awesome. I'm going to be excited about this. And you guys have a huge project. I was going through your website and I see you got lots of working components to ATROMG8, right? There's lots of big things going on. So what was the idea? I know you were talking a little bit about there, but give me the whole idea behind ATROMG8. Where did the name come from? Why did you guys all start this together?
Basically, the ATROMG8, the first approach of ATROMG8 was a project with the name VisionGate, and VisionGate was basically an ATM system with a big flat screen, touch screen to enable the people buy and sell crypto directly at the spot, cash against crypto, and vice versa. So that this was one of the main components back then. As I said, 2013, the first experiments with the banks, that's where it growed out. But very fast, between 2013 and 2016, we understood that it's not crypto the main thing which will come up. It will be privacy and data protection. So that's what made the whole thing change a little bit. A way of creating wallets and environments and exchange structures, we went more and more in the direction of creating data protective systems, right? Protecting metadata, protecting distribution of data, bringing democratization processes in the use and process of data, and then start working the whole thing around it, how to use it, how to implement it, what has to be changed in the available environment and technology to make it useful, to make it useful in the sense, how can I change the technology to still consume the product as it is, like a wallet, but by protecting the information, not making the information available to anybody outside than the two people who are involved in a transaction. That was one of the main questions. Or how do you protect a messenger system? I mean, everybody knows end-to-end protection, but end-to-end doesn't mean nothing if the reader is on your screen placed through a USN or a Trojan or an OPC program, right? So all this was driving us and to find out how we can use and implement that. And of course, then how can we make money out of it in the sense not to getting rich, but to pay the bills, right? So how do you use a token? I mean, are you then charging per message sent out, or how do you implement this whole economic into your project when you have so many different components?
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I was just going to say, data is such a big thing today. I mean, I remember years ago, when we started with the internet, you didn't even want to put a credit card online, and it was so you don't buy anything online. That's dangerous. You're giving away your credit card information, all this stuff. But now today, people are very upset if the computer software doesn't remember their credit card, and they have to get up off their couch and go get the credit card from their wallet and come back. It's a major inconvenience. So data today is really became a thing. And I mean, data today is being sold all over the world, right? People's data is being sold to all sorts of big corporations today all over the world. So I think, the protection of data today is at the forefront for sure. If people want to, become anonymous, they want to stay under the radar, they want to be able to do things and transact in ways like never before. And I think that is a big part of that. So very, very cool. So you guys have come up with this idea. So speaking of that, you guys have come up with this idea. Speaking of that, how many people are on the team? Like, how many people are working on this project together?
I mean, the project, you have to understand, the project is a network. That's a lot of companies and groups building their components or their part of the total project. So it's not a centralized team sitting somewhere in an office. It's more a distributed network of people creating and working on their individual components and bringing that together, while a centralized small group then makes sure that the information exchange takes place in order to combine these components brought together, which makes the whole project very complicated to work this way, to say the least. So I would say if you calculate everybody then about 100 people, right?
Yeah, I was looking through the website and I seen lots of key people from different companies that were all contributing to this, this ecosphere that you guys got going here, which is really nice to see. That's quite amazing.
I mean, the most of the people you don't even see on the website, right? Because there are very strict social engineering protection rules, which are in place in the network, and that's why I would say 2/3 of the people you don't even see, or even more, 80% of the people working on the project, you don't see it.
Yeah, for sure. We're the same way. We've got a group of 10, definitely not 100, but I mean, there's a lot of people that work behind the scenes that sometimes don't always get the recognition on the forefront. So I understand exactly what you're saying. So yeah, it's an amazing big working project. If you guys got some time, jump onto their website, and I'll get one of the Nigels to share the website in the main chat here for you guys to go and see it. There's a big working component here to this thing. So I understand that you guys are originally, did you start originally on the Ethereum chain? Is that correct?
No, the first components built was on Bitcoin sidechain components, okay. And that created then the testnet environment. But it didn't work out because we didn't get the support, which we were hope to get, because we thought this data protection idea and let's build something together and open source and all that will be somehow supported by all the people out there. But we found very fast out that there is nothing like cross-border support. So everybody has his own project and more or less money-driven, right? So whenever you come and say, we would like to adjust these components because it will help us in this corner, then it's very, very difficult to motivate the people. So, and if you don't have $100 million to pay them then for changes and for requests you might have, then you don't get the support. So that's why we dropped the case very, very fast. We went then over to EOS. EOS has very, very interesting components with the delegated proof of stake and with the registers and files and the possibility to build up square blocks and improve from 256 to 384 without new block buildings. And then, so we thought, oh, wow, EOS is the thing. But then again, we found out that all the nodes are in China. And we thought, China is okay, but not all the nodes, right? And then we decided to restructure and take a fork out and then eliminate some components which are giving too much information about the single user out. So basically, we are working on an adjusted EOS fork now. That's status quo.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So working forward, we were talking about data. When we're talking about data, you guys have got a DLT, a decentralized ledger technology you guys are working on. Is that correct?
Yes. We're working on different layers. You have the layer. First, we keep all components in a star formation outside of the main component, and we are just interacting between the components where it is absolutely needed. That's the first thing. The second thing is that we have a deeper layer. So we have the databases itself has nothing to do with the project, the way it is built now. So you can imagine there is somewhere all over the world distributed in some servers are the data which we have to have in order to answer your request. If you want to do a transaction or you want to go to your account or whatever, but we cannot connect it to the main surface like you know it now from the internet. So you go, let's say, to your website and then you log in on your website. If you do that and you come to a point where a country or an organization or a structure don't like what you do or you don't play by their rules, they just block your IP and you're out of the game, right? So you're de facto shut down in the whole country. So we had to find a way to be able to create a surface onto the surface by keeping the data extracted to other places so you can enter with your credentials over the group members' websites. So in other words, you can create an ATROMG8 account on atromg8.com, but if ATROMG8 gets shut down in, let's say Pakistan, I don't want to whisper in China, but let's say Pakistan, you still have the possibility to enter with the exact same credentials to other structures into and reach your data and your information and your wallet and all you need, what you deposited there. So it's not the classic distributed ledger technology the way you know it. It's a multi-layer distributed ledger technology.
Got it. Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit just for everybody, just to slow that down a little bit. I understand where you're going with this, but not all my listeners are going to, or your listeners are going to understand maybe. But so if we're working on like a centralized platform, obviously a centralized platform can go under attack. It can be, obviously taken by a hacker or anything like that, right? It can face a lot of scrutiny that way. But if you're saying in the decentralized and the decentralized ledger, if a country, let's say, we'll just leave countries out, but if a country decides to put in some sort of censorship that you can't access a certain website, you're saying that there's obviously different layers that you will be able to access this. Now, are you saying that you have to use like a VPN, like a virtual private network still to access this? Or is there different ways of accessing your key? Because I'm assuming you're giving out a key or something. Obviously, you have a key and a login that's going to be your credentials. Is that correct?
Yes. I mean, your credentials are your password and the information you use to open up your basic account on ATROMG8, but you can use exactly the same credentials to log in through all the platforms, so which makes them really Web3. I mean, if you're not limited anymore by the IP address, by the original IP address.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right, very cool. Yeah, because I mean, that's becoming more and more. There's more censorship going on around the world today, and obviously government sometimes overreach and government control of certain things that may block you from accessing certain websites or certain logins, right? So that's very, very cool. You're saying you've got an extra layer to this. So is there just extra nodes around the world, or what did you mean by an extra third layer on the decentralized part of it?
I mean, usually the way the blockchain is anyway this not with the other nodes together. We have normal server data centers, which we are keeping absolutely independent from the blockchain node, right? Because it doesn't make much sense from a security standpoint of view to have them all on the same server. Even you have different layers, but if you find one, it's a question of time you find the others too. So you have to keep them completely separate from each other. And the way exactly it works, I mean, I don't know. Do you know the MixNet idea, LARP, what Loki came up a few years ago, or there's NIM, NYM. I don't know if you know this structure or not. They created that back then a MixNet. The idea was like to have different structures of nodes working together and making noise in the market. So whenever you are sending a message or you are using one of the nodes or of the servers, it was activating at the same time other servers and nodes with the same protocol, with the same basic information, right? So you were never sure about what or which information was the real one. Do you understand this concept? I mean, do you understand the MixNet concept?
A little bit, yeah. It's yeah. No, you're good. Keep trying to explain. I'm following you along here. Some of it is a little deeper than I usually go, but no, go ahead. I'm following you.
Okay, so basically we are keeping that completely separate. We use the same noise makers. The idea of the noisemaker, is a very, very good idea, because that's, well, I mean, if you can't protect the data, right, and we all know that there is always a way, if you are interesting enough, if you're a person who the government or who a cyber criminal organization is interested into, they will find a way. Maybe not now, but over the time and with a lot of efforts. And we all know there's a lot of money and there is a lot of energy behind that if they really want to have something. So if you can't protect the data to 100%, then you protect them by faking the data. So you send out the message which says green to John, but we send out 15 other messages at the same time, orange, yellow, green, blue, whatever color you want, and to 15 different Johns, right? Only one of them is correct. So you're keeping that in different layers, not all horizontal. You're going as well vertical in the structure building. Do you understand the concept?
I do. I think it's very cool too. I think it's a very smart play too, to create a bit of confusion out there for any type of hackers who are out there trying to get into that. That's a smart idea. Yeah,
because you're using up their energy and their power by doing that. So that means instead of identifying one structure, they have to identify 15 structure, and still you're never 200% sure which one was the right one, right? So that gives you a lot of protection, and that means you have to be a really, really interesting person to these structures, that they invest that time and money to follow you, right? So you cannot just put a spy software on it and it will work. It will not work. You will always get fake messages, and you will always have to find out which one of these fake messages is the real one.
So you need some quick fingers and a supercomputer to try to figure all this out.
Not even the supercomputer. I mean, we have Wave 3, and the Wave 3 does not break that. Especially when you on the chain, when you go to 384 at the moment, this is really even quantum computer proof, right? So, okay, I have to be fair. We all don't know how good the computers really are, which the government do have. at the moment operational. But what we know is that what they have is so expensive to run that it will not make sense to follow up every single citizen, right? So you're really picking up who they follow up.
No, I laugh when I hear the government trying to regulate certain things, and we're going to regulate this, and we're going to follow that, and we're going to follow this blockchain and follow that. I'm like, you guys will never keep up. It's moving so fast that I don't care how many supercomputers you have or how many employees you have, you guys are never going to keep up. You guys are so far behind, it's not even funny. That's my personal opinion on that. But yeah, that is moving at such a fast rate today. I think you guys are off to the races. I think you guys are doing some good work there. So it's definitely a key thing for people, and privacy today is key. And with the peer-to-peer today that's going on, I think it's exploding.
It is indeed. And I mean, you see what is happening all over the world. And today they are. Now, what I wanted to say is just like that. It doesn't make sense, the whole thing. You know, the government is more interested to find out which single mom has give $50 to the truckers for a protest than to follow up some pedophiles, if you want to, right? So
you heard about our Canadian experience, the truckers, did you?
Yeah, I think the whole world heard about that, and it's so ridiculous, especially when this guy then shows up in the European Union and tells something about free speech and free world. But just to bring it back, I don't want to go into politics far as it's going to be attacked again from my own people. But the thing is, as long there is not a regulation in place, a transparency, what is happening with the data. I'm not against technological developments, absolutely not. And I think there is a lot of good in technological development. But we need to know who is getting our data, when it is getting, under what conditions it's getting, what data can be interpreted, how, why are data distributed between European Union and the USA without a reason, why are all the data are collected even if there is no good reason for it, all that. And as long as all these questions are not answered, right, the people are not safe, because out of this data you can create a very nice story or you can create a very bad story, subject to that what it helps you most in the moment. Right. So the best thing is not to collect any data. So that's what we try to do. We are not collecting any data. We don't have artificial intelligence identifying and connecting wallets and activities to an account or a special person. As long they're not using credit cards, I mean, that we stick to the law. We cannot issue credit cards and say, oh, we don't know to whom we gave it or whatever. But everything else, we are just not collecting. And if we are not collecting, we can't give it out. So it's up to the people to decide who is getting their data, under what conditions. And I think that this is, for the coming years, a very, very smart concept.
I agree for sure. It's going to be the future safes. The safes that we once known that we kept in our house or in a bank vault somewhere else will be completely transformed online. That it'll be encryption keys and stuff that we'll be using instead of, the old form of keys. I do believe that. So give me a scenario. If, just for some of the users listening, they're going to be listening to this later as this is recorded, who would want to use ATROMG8 from maybe a private, person like myself, or from maybe a business standpoint? What would be the process? What would they want to store away from some people? Let's give them a scenario so they understand the full working part of ATROMG8.
I mean, I think let's talk first about the private person. I think the private person will be that person who is traveling a lot, don't want to use 15 different apps to do whatever they have to do, communicate or store or social media, and who wants to have his privacy. This is the profile of the private person I see, and who wants to operate his own wallet with his own private keys. And of course, we cannot just think for the private user. I mean, we are thinking for the private user by creating this platform, but at the moment our focus is to create as well the business use cases, which are here to finance the rest of the platform. So it's like two components. And in the business direction, we are focusing very strongly on the supply chain management part and certification part. This is there we were able to build over the last 2-3 years a very strong component, which has a focus on certification and diplomas for universities and school. We call it IDSP, and selling this service to universities, schools, etc. And in the same way, when we started to work at this for these certificates, we started as well to develop an educational environment, because we found out that the most of the standard platforms in the market are too complex, too big. So we had to simplify them to make sure that everybody can use it. And that's what we was working the last 1.5 years on it. So that's our focus is very strong as well on the universities in that part. Parallel to that, we were working as well on agricultural project, healthcare project, and at the moment very, very strong on our Metagate and the NFT platform connected to the Metagate. The Metagate is our, I would say, metaversum environment, if you want. So we don't believe to 100% in this subject metaversum, but let's say a digital entertainment 3D environment. So there is these two components: the private user who wants to have his privacy, and from the business side, we'd focus on supply chain and certification and diploma issuance. This is our main focus at the moment, and that's where and that's the field in which we are in final stages. So we think that we, before the summer, go live with the first two.
Very cool. So I'm on the website. So under the IDSP, the student part of it, if we back up for a second, so you've got peer-to-peer here. So you have like teacher to teacher, teacher to student, student to student. So this is basically, so I guess COVID really, the pandemic has really accelerated this portion, because like a lot of online schooling, even in the last year, has gone online. So this will really help and explode, because so many more people are starting to learn to use a computer to communicate, whether they're going to college or they're going to university. So this is really going to explode that sector for you.
I mean, COVID was just speeding up a process which was already ongoing. It was not, everybody was pushing in that direction. I mean, we are talking about the kids who are not able to participate in the school, but the much bigger part worldwide are kids who cannot participate in schools because of the way they have to walk to the school, like 2-3 hours to the next school, or large and difficult and dangerous environments, right, to reach there. And this is a huge part. But funny enough that this, even the people have almost nothing to eat, but meanwhile, almost everybody has a smartphone, right? And maybe not the newest model, but they have one. And that was one of our focus we had. How can we bring the school to the people home, right, if they cannot participate? And that was not something we were focusing on it since COVID. That was on our side already working 2018, 2017. That was already brought up by the working group, like William Nonis, who at this time was working for the Ministry of Defense and in Italy, and were asked many times about structures and possibilities to help for poor regions all over the world with digital education environment.
Yeah, that's very cool. And the pandemic just basically poured gasoline on it for you and just ignited it even quicker. So that's awesome. That these services today, they're digitally out there. They're able to be offered services like this. This is brilliant, because this can be all over the globe. Like you said, if somebody has to walk 2 hours to school, you no longer have to, because you can have it at a click of a fingertips. If you have access to a computer or a tablet or a telephone, you can have access to all the stuff that the rest of the world has access to, which is amazing.
I mean, we did some test environments, in Brazil. When you go there, it's like just 2 hours to walk one way and then 2 hours back. It's 4 hours which you are missing on the farm helping the parents. I mean, it's very hard to understand for our side. We always say, the kids should not work and, all these stories. But if a family has to come out with like $1-2 a day, there is no limit in age, but everybody knows that either is working and supporting the family or it gets education. And this allows the family to manage their day-to-day life, supporting the family and having education. So, doing one doesn't exclude the other. And that was before not possible. And this is one of the main focus. And interesting enough, when you go on the market and you talk like to ministries of education, doesn't matter if it's now Brazil or Italy or Portugal or wherever, there are always huge budgets around for this kind of services if you build it up in a way that everybody can use it. And that is our focus, to make it as simple as possible, that even with the smallest and oldest smartphone or device, you can enter this education platform. And that was as well a challenge, for us, we go there and then say, oh, it looks horrible, right? But if you have 200 mega data first to download to be able to participate, that means for somebody out there in nowhere, 3 hours to wait to have download. So you have to simplify everything to a level which it serves the needs, but still in an acceptable time frame. So all that comes together, and that's sometimes difficult to transport this way of thinking and these challenges you have and face with a project like this.
100%. I was just sitting here thinking, like, we take it for granted that we turn on a cell phone and we have 5G cellular technology, or we turn on a computer and we've got internet by satellite today from Elon Musk with Starlink or whatever it may be, or we've got fiber optic cables and stuff, right? Like, and there's countries around the world that just don't even have this available to us. So trying to download like something like you said could take hours upon hours. So simplifying it is very important for sure. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So I'm on the blockchain, or I'm on the website here with the blockchain and the chain of love. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's going to resonate with some of our listeners very well.
Yeah, I mean, chain of love is something that's my personal love about the whole project, because we had once a very nice meeting in Geneva with a lot of people from the tech and the banking sector, and after a few hours being together, we found out, the guy calculated out his numbers, which he collected by the World Bank and IWF, and he said, to create or change something sustainable and strong in the planet, you don't need to have hundred thousands of billions. If everybody will just give a little bit of his transaction costs, so if every bank on this planet will give just like 5 or 10% of the transaction costs, not on that of the actual money transferred, only the transaction costs on the fees, we could save this planet twice, right? So I thought that's a very interesting thinking, right? If you implement something fixed in your structure, which is immutable, right? This is the conditio sine qua non of the whole project. You do a transaction, 10% of the transaction fees just go inside and goes to projects which make sense, right? And so that was the basic thought, how Chain of Love came together, how Chain of Love were created. And since then, it's now since 5 years, right? We are doing every year, supporting a lot of things. I mean, of course, we didn't have big income that we spent. We were developing the project, and that's what we were caring for. But still, money came together through smaller transaction team who gave money and supported, and it allowed us to help families support with food, or buy the one or the other thing, or participate in a water pump and stuff like this, small. But we saw with almost no effort, we were able to do something. So we are really looking forward to what the future brings once the platform is fully live and we start getting larger numbers on the platform using the blockchain and creating on this way more turnover and income for Chain of Love. So we strongly believe in this concept.
And I understand it's 10%, right? You guys are doing 10%. Is that it?
Yes.
Of all transaction
10%.
fees?
10%. It's
awesome.
I mean, if you all the religion, it doesn't matter to which religion you're looking. It doesn't matter if it's the Quran or the Bible or any other. It's always like the 10th, right? It's always this 10%. It doesn't hurt you much. It doesn't change your numbers by end of the year. It's just something which everybody can easily afford. Giving 10% of the transaction cost can change a lot.
It sure can, because people don't realize sometimes a dollar or a euro or whatever currency you might be living in, right? I mean, a dollar or euro, can go a long way in a certain country, right? Whereas we kind of take it for granted, it's just another dollar, or it's just a euro, or it's just, whatever. But I mean, really, it can go a long way in a certain country. So, it's amazing. Good job, you guys. So the chain of love is creating across the world. So that's awesome. And you're giving all these funds to humanitarian, environmental charities around the world. So good for you guys. That's awesome. It's nice that you can give back, and we can give back these little pieces, and it goes so far and is so appreciated to those people around the world that you're helping.
Yeah, I think it will change. It will change a lot for the people.
I agree. So just looking at the website here, we got so much. I love your website because there's so much going on it with the blockchain and the e-health. So you touched on e-health a little bit before there as we were talking about the IDSP with the students. Can you touch on the e-health in Brazil?
The idea of the e-health is, at the moment you have, it's not a theme which is really popular at the moment, because the whole environment, your perception was a little bit destroyed to these COVID certificates, right? But before we had these COVID certificates, the idea was you go to a doctor and this doctor has all your documents, but maybe you want to change to another one. So either you have a very complex and difficult process to get all your documents from one doctor to the other, but this doctor might just use it once and doesn't need it after that. So we were searching for a system how to store all the documents, in a database where the doctor or the clinic or the company working in connection with your health have access to the information they actually need in the moment. And let's say you go to a dentist, and of course they don't need your data about your spine or about your past 10 years, right? So that all these data are defined and made available subject to the need of the visit by the doctor. This would have reduced the cost tremendous for the health insurance everywhere. Will reduce the cost for a government. I mean, this when we started with Akubit's working on that, it was like the Kerala state of Kerala, and this is basically unfortunately the poorest part of India, right? And the idea was how can these costs be reduced, and that's where the whole thing started. But then COVID came up, and it was already difficult before to do the studies and the finance for these studies. And then when COVID came up, this whole project became very, very slow, right? So because just the financial support were not there, not even sometimes we had to wait for simple information 4 to 6 weeks, which usually you get it in 2-3 hours, right? Just because the financial support was not more given. So the whole thing, this project still goes on in Brazil, and in Brazil is still developing, but it's a lot of controversial discussion at the moment because of this COVID certificate, right? So people, before nobody was asking, nobody saw a problem with that, but after these COVID certificates were issued and all that, we received a lot of opposition for everything which has to do with the app and collecting data and distributing data. Even it is on the blockchain, and even the idea behind is great, but it's a political now. So it's hard to explain what will happen in the next 2-3 months there. But this is a project ongoing, but very slow. It's not our favorite project, to be honest.
So are you saying that I can take some data records from my doctor or my personal medical file? I could be able to store that type of data as well?
Yes. So the idea is that the problem is that in order to do that, it has to be centralized stored. It doesn't work decentralized. That decentralized storage would mean that you have a lot of data centers, but in states, we have in Brazil states with 50 million people, or in India, Kerala alone had 35 million. This is the inner hard part, over 1 billion over the whole country. So it's very, very difficult to hold them in this structure which are available. Do you understand what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Okay. I think,
so the idea is then all the data has to be then identified and then distributed to packages to avoid this is important for the dentist, this is important for my chirurg, this is important for the guy for nutrition, and to create all this information and make them available. Make the packages, to identify the packages which are what is for which or for which person or for what clinic important. I'm sorry, my English is it's very difficult for me to explain because it's working faster in my brain than I can speak it out.
You're doing fantastic. You're good.
And the difficulty here is that you have to be sure that this guy only has the access to your data while he is treating you. So after this process is closed down, this access and the data cannot stay in his position. So how can I explain it? So if he's able to download it and keep it on his computer, then it is not really a protection, right? So he can trade your data later on. In some clinics in India where 10,000 people a day is not an unusual number, we are talking about a lot of money. PIIs has the value of $120 to $300, depends on the state you're living in, right? So it's a big business to have this data and sell it to the pharma industry. So
yeah, it is. It's crazy.
Need to protect them. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really, really, really crazy. It's more money made with this data trading than with the medicine itself.
Is there a way for me or an individual to hold their own medical record on, decentralized way? Is there a way for me personally that I could load on my phone or load on my computer and print out records, or maybe share with my doctor from the screen of my phone, but actually not give somebody full permission to it?
Yeah, the thing is, we have Dropbox for our stuff. It's not. This is not really challenging. The problem is, what about the guy who doesn't have the money to pay a cloud, or the guy you just spoke about, who is living with $1 per day, and then you tell him, hey, keep your data records on a file there. It costs you even it's $5 a year. It's $5 a year. It's a huge money for this kind of
100%
for this standard, right?
Yeah.
To be careful.
No, you're good. You're good. I know you were going. It is. But a lot of people don't even think about this data, right? That's out there. There's so much data about one individual person. A lot of people think, well, credit cards or personal identity could be stolen. It does. That happens every day. But there's so much more data that you're not even thinking about, like medical records and all this stuff that is out there that people have access to, or it's been sold off to people that they now have access to. It's a huge business.
The problem is not the single data. So if I know that you have a heart problem, okay, I know you have a heart problem, but in combination with other informations I might have from you, right? This creates a serious problem because I can, let's say, I hate to take Facebook, but Facebook has created a centralized platform where they had connected with others like Google and, right? So one is collecting the data of your social behavior. The other is collecting your health data. The third is collecting your bank data. The fourth is collecting your psychological data based on your interaction on the app, and. So now I'm creating an artificial intelligence, and I'm creating the rules for interpretation of this data. Meanwhile, this artificial intelligence has learned so much that they are starting interpreting the rules by themselves. So if I'm now for example, I want to sell you something, so I can basically push the button and the system is creating a way of selling you the product. So if I want to sell you this specific pill, then the system knows which pictures, to what time, how I do activate you, how do I trigger you, how do I bring you in a position that you get that you open up your perceptions for this product, and then accepting the product, and then I'm shooting behind that through Google information about the product, which are nicely packed in all that. So basically, I can sell you every single thing on this planet if you want it or not, by triggering your emotions and triggering the way I'm interacting with you. And if some companies come together and decide that they want to do that, right, then we are all in real troubles. And unfortunately, that's what happened in 2017.
Yeah, it's happening already. It's all there. I mean, just listen to your phone, go talk about something on your phone, and then next thing you know, there's ads popping up on your phone for what you just maybe talked about in the last couple hours or the day before. I know I kind of like a little clean joke, but a friend of mine, his wife took his phone away for the day, and she was talking about all sorts of inappropriate things on purpose as a joke, and she gave him his phone back, and sure enough, the next day, his phone was littered with a whole bunch of inappropriate things popping up on his phone. So it's amazing the amount of ears that are listening out there today from, cell phones and what you're clicking on and what you're searching, and, smart TVs and all these robotics that are in our house that we think are making it, life easier for us, but they're actually listening to what we're saying. So it's definitely a big world out there today of collecting data, and I'm sure it's probably into the trillions of dollars already, never mind billions of dollars business already.
It is in trillions. I mean, data has a higher value than any other energy trading on this planet. I mean, it's the number one good on the market. There's nothing. I mean, look at your cell phone. If you look at your cell phone, I have at the moment, I reduced really to the minimum, but I still have 23 different apps. And each app has a contract behind which says, I agree that they share with their companies, parent companies, contractors, and. So out of 23 apps, probably about 100 to 150 different companies getting all my information, right? I have no idea who they are. I have no idea what they do. I have no idea what they have stored about me and where they are storing it. I have no idea how this is interpreted and what rules apply for the interpretation of my data. So all that makes me absolutely vulnerable out there. I'm just like a dog in the desert, right? If somebody wants to shoot me, shoot me.
Yeah, I hear you. So speaking of cell phones then, so when is that something you guys have thought about? Have you thought about a peer-to-peer cell phone that's on the blockchain?
I mean, we had discussions, and it's still ongoing. And one of the conditions is that we are finishing what we are doing, and especially to get the app out there and get the first projects up and running. And we have other conditions which we urgently need to improve for the project. But there are serious discussions since over 2 years about the possibility for that. But I'm sorry, by all means, I will not share this here, the company names and all that, because for us, this is probably the only way to reach the next level of security, to have a phone partner and to issue our own phone.
Yeah, for sure. It's because everybody's got one in their hand, right? I mean, the whole planet's got a cell phone in their hand at all times. So if it could be on a peer-to-peer with nobody listening or nobody seeing what we're doing, I mean, that would be key. I would sign up for that like tomorrow. I'd be like, here's my money. Like, take my money, give me a phone.
Right? We had already once. There was a phone a few years back shut down because they was not willing to participate in this Centra network. There was BlackBerry. That's the reason why BlackBerry was shut down. They was not prepared to exchange data, but showed as well that there is a way to protect data. There is a way to legally get the phone out there to fulfill all technological requirements and being able to sell in the market, right? So that just shows us it is possible. But you need big pockets for that.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of money.
You need a lot of money in crypto. Crypto in this space of playing in blockchain is expensive. I know all about it. It's nothing is free in this world. That is for sure. So coming up on 55 minutes. There's so much on your website yet to talk about, but I don't even know I'm going to get through it all because there's so much here. What do you want to kind of close out with? What are you guys working on right now that's really, really cool that you guys are really focused on, that the whole community is rallying behind? What are you guys working on?
I mean, at the moment, definitely Metagate. This is something which we believe, if we don't get our feet in this environment now, there will be no way later to participate in these business cases. Just one thing. Then, of course, with the Metagate, the NFT environment, where we experimenting around, we are announcing in a few hours already the partnership. And this is our main thing. Then, of course, for June, the app release, because we was working very long time on the desktop version, and the reason that we worked so long on this desktop was the interaction. If you have so many tools, from education to certification to wallet and all independent, just connected, not under one roof, basically on the 20 roofs, but connected together, we lost a lot of time, and we had a big changes and challenges in the team during the COVID time. We just lost now 6% in the Ukrainian office. I mean, they're not passed away. We lost them because they're not able to work anymore, and it was just a nightmare to handle over that project part they was working on, which was the banking and the credit card part, handling over to people who are already totally overloaded with work. So that became then as well an issue with our roadmap. We fall behind the dates which we gave. So it was really, really difficult to handle all that stuff. But then we said, okay, let's really fully focus on that, where we have the partnerships and the project ready. And this is the Metagate and Metaverse part in connection with the NFT, getting the app out on that. And we have, thank God, the new marketing team in place, which is redoing our market appearance, working on the new white paper, getting to simplify all this information. We have too many information on our white paper, so people getting more confused, and we are confusing them more than we are really helping them to understand the project. So that's the main focus. And then, of course, one of the big things which the whole community is pissed off with us is probably the exchange, which we are working very hard on it to get it out there. And I think that we are really close to be able to share there the information as well. So that's what we focus at the moment.
Timelines are hard. I know, with Radio Nigel here, it was the same thing when we, because we're a BUSD rewards token, right? So we pay out 6% reflections to our holders and stuff. But I remember us building out our white paper as well in the roadmap. And it was like, do we put actual time frames on, Q1, Q2, Q3, or do we call it phases? And it's hard. It really is hard on a community when you set a time frame. And if you don't meet the goal, or maybe you exceed it and you get ahead of it, that's fantastic. But if you don't meet it, all of a sudden, I understand investors are looking for their potential, their money going up, and they want their money to grow. But sometimes it takes a pullback to go, what, we are kind of ready to release on this date, but we're just not 100% sure. And if you release it too early and don't have all the bugs worked out or all the kinks worked out, it can come back to bite you tenfold. So I understand sometimes you got to put the brakes on a little bit and just make sure that things are 100% before you release them. I hear you on that one.
And the thing is, it's a very difficult situation. On one side, you have to provide information, right? Because the people are there and they believe in your project and they want to support you, but they don't know what's going on behind the scenes, right? On the other side, we have in the groups often people we don't know every single person. If we would know every single person, we can go and do a live interaction with everybody and go into details and say, hey, let's look at, that's the reason why we are delaying here, but on this place and in this project we are much further, so this will probably come now before even we said different before. But you don't have these possibilities for this personal interaction with the people, so you have then to take the decision: do I share with 90% people I don't know who they are. Could be from other projects, could be from all kinds of different interests, because a lot of people even don't like what we do with the data privacy. You can be sure about that. And we had a lot of situations which we knew that this action against us came out by sharing too much information. So it's a very, very difficult thing. What can you share? What can you not share? Then you see the pressure raising because people getting unsatisfied, they don't see what is happening, and they just see then the delay. But the roadmap, it's something, and it was my big learning of the last 1.5 years. The roadmap is something which is in this environment, the way the world works today, with these difficulties. I mean, thank God COVID is slowly going away and the restrictions. It's a very, very dangerous thing. And I can only agree to that, what you said. You have to be very, very careful. You promise something and you say, oh, you're going to go get ready with that, and you're sweating blood and tears to make it happen. But then something around the corner comes, or your lawyer calls you in the morning and say, hey, immediate stop here, because that's what it is happening here. Please let us check us before you finish that and get this out and connect there. It could create this and this and this and this legal issues for you. So now you're in the position and you say, oh, okay, should I communicate out there that there could be might be a legal issue against the project, which could create more negative impact to the project? Or should I wait till I get certainty from the lawyer? The lawyer say, oh, I'm going to come back to you ASAP. So what does it mean, ASAP? Is it today, tomorrow, end of the week, end of the month? What is ASAP? It is as soon as possible. So you have to be very, very, very careful. And the best thing is really, and from going away from a roadmap, basically, where you say what you're going to do exactly to what month, go back to that and give an overview about the work which is done, right? So the people see what is happening and helps them to understand the project better. And the communication part is a very difficult part, right? Because we are all in the project management side, and we are thinking from a different standpoint of view. And if you want to communicate with the people out there, you have to have specialists who know how to interpret what your input is and to make it understandable out there. Often, it was not even in a bad intention. We say it the way we think, right? Put it on the table and then get the backlash on it, right? Because it was misunderstood. So you need absolute professional help in that. And thank God we found now a good company with a lot of experience teaching us all these ways of communicating with people, ways of putting data together to share it out there. And it's not easy, because when you work 5-6 years from as a group out of one direction, and then you cannot change the whole behavior and everything within 3-4 months. This is impossible, because it's too many people working together, and you have to make everybody first in the team understand and accept that. And then you have to set rules, then you have to set protocols, and then you have to teach the people as well to follow the protocols and to use the protocols in the right way to get this information together in order for us to communicate out there. So this process is a very, very tough process. And while you're doing your best to get this process working, you get all the shitstorms on the channel. So that's what I mean. It's not
No, I'm with you. There's a lot of people don't realize that there's a lot of investors or there's a lot of projects maybe that are lurking behind the scenes going, will they slip up? Will they release something that I can steal from my own project and beat them to the race first, right? Can I get it out before they can if I know what they're doing? And we're the same way. Like I said, we're a group of 10. We have to protect that as well and working on the scenes. So sometimes we're telling our investors the same thing. Like, there is something coming. It is coming. Just please be patient. We just can't release it just yet. We trust all you guys, but we don't know who's watching, right? So
when you share the third or the fourth time it's coming, it's like, man, it's not in a bad matter. It's just like, it is not ready to give it out there. And it's so difficult to explain why it is not, because you cannot even explain the why. Even the why can create problems to you. And this is what I'm talking about. And I have a very good example. Early in the beginning, it was 3 years back, we had a wallet prepared for staking with all that stuff. We had like a very special environment created. And we was so proud to share that in the channel. What happened is we're supposed to get out there on the 26th of October. 29th of October should be released on the market with the full staking process and everything. By the 20th of October, a Chinese group came one-to-one with the same design and everything out there. I mean, it was a scam, but it destroyed our whole business plan, everything. So we was forced to start from zero, right? And this is what's happening, and I can only agree to that. What you say, I mean, you have to be so careful what you share. Even a good idea, sometimes you have a great idea. The team has a great idea, and you're very happy, and you would love to share it because you know it will make a lot of people happy. But you have in the groups as well a lot of people either working against you or just in the group to find out what they're doing, what kind of ideas they have, where do they improve, and how they want to make the project better. And be sure there are always people out there with more money and more people available than yourself, and they will do it. And then you stay there, and you can maybe survive these 2-3 times, but at a certain point, it will break your project and it's over.
Yeah, I hear you. And you made a good point earlier too. And this is why we do the Radio Nigel, is because a lot of stuff can be interpreted wrong. Like you said, in text, you can be texting something or putting a message out. And if it's not, the grammar's not 100%, or if the translation's not 100%, this is why we really like doing these Nigel casts and these AMAs with really good projects, is because you get to hear from the devs. You get to hear from the guys that are working in this, in behind the scenes, and you get to hear from, basically right from you, right? We're hearing it right from your mouth, what's going on in the project, how it's working, what we're developing, and what's going on. And there's a lot to be said for that, because like I said, the text can sometimes be taken the wrong way. It can be perceived the wrong way. So yeah, good on you guys. I really enjoyed today, and we're coming up on 65 minutes, but I really enjoyed talking to you. But I feel like I'm going to have you back again to talk about more information, because I think there's a lot more going on that I haven't even got a chance to fully cover yet.
I mean, if you next Monday is a very, very big important day. Maybe you want to join, and then we do again a spot together.
So do you guys do any live AMAs inside your Telegram? Do you do any voice chats inside your Telegram as well, or on a Discord or anything?
No, I promised the new marketing group to stop until they have put the whole thing right in place and the rules and everything, to not do new things which will create more difficult situations for the whole project. So we are not doing something new now. What we are doing is handling what we do completely over to them in small packages, because I mean, you spent now a few days on the website, but can you imagine when you have to give to a marketing group over 4 years of work, or 3 years of work, or 5 years of work, and explain where the whole thing comes from, where we want to go, to package that down, and so it takes time to do all this work, put them all together for them. And I promised, and the whole team promised, to keep back until this process is done, and a professional speaker, if you want so, is in place, which is coordinating the administrative people in the channels and making clear plans what and how can be communicated. And until this process is closed, we are holding back.
Yeah, no, fantastic. So is the best way to reach you guys in the Telegram, or do you have a Discord? Which is the best way for us to send people over that may be listening to this right now? Would it be the Telegram is the best place?
It's definitely Telegram at the moment, and more we are focusing, of course, building up our own social media channel, because I mean, it's like you're building your car, you're building Ford, and you're pushing Tesla, right? So for us, our focus is growing more and more into the direction building up our own channels and on our own social media environment.
Okay, perfect. So if one of the Nigels can actually just take the Telegram and share that in our main chat for them, that would be fantastic. Because I'm sure there's going to be some people who have questions that may want to jump over and join the Telegram and ask some questions. Because, guys, again, this is like do your own research. Because I haven't covered everything on the project. There's so many working pieces. If you drop into their website too, one of the Nigels can drop that in here too, one of the websites. If you go over there and check out the website, there's a lot of information going on. So, jump over there, do some of your own research before jumping in. But just to summarize quickly, I think your market cap now, I was checking on CMC there just quickly on my internet. Your CMC, I think is it like 680,000 right now? Does that sound about right?
Yeah, we are not that good in the market cap at the moment, and for sure it will change as soon we have the new exchange and the new direction open. So at the moment it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all like micro cap. Yeah, we've been in that range too. The ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of crypto, for sure. I understand it. And guys, if there is no questions, obviously please jump over to their Telegram. I'm sure there's multiple people there that would love to talk to you and love to be able to explain. I need to digest info first. Yeah, there's a lot of information. There sure is. This is a big working project. There's a lot of cool components to it, which I really like.